Have you ever walked into a room and felt a strange shift in the energy? The smiles are there, but something behind them is sharp. Polite words are spoken, yet something in the tone feels cold. That, my friend, is jealousy. It doesn't always come with a snarl or an insult. Sometimes it arrives dressed in praise. Sometimes it claps when you win, but only with clenched teeth. Jealousy is one of the oldest and most destructive forces in the world. It has torn down kings, it has sparked wars, it has turned brothers into enemies and built walls between best friends. Cain murdered Abel out of jealousy. Brutus stabbed Caesar in the back not for power, but because he couldn't bear his light. History whispers this truth. Jealousy is a silent assassin, but here's what no one tells you. The stronger you become, the more disciplined you grow, the more purpose you carry, the more jealousy you will attract. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Jealousy isn't about you, it's about what you mirror in others, their lack of discipline, their wasted potential, their fear of being forgotten. In this video, we're going deep, not just into what jealous people do, but why they do it, how to recognize the signs early, how to protect your energy and peace, and most importantly, how to rise so high that their envy becomes your wind. This is not just about calling out others, it's about mastering yourself. Because the moment you recognize the jealous ones, you gain power, not to fight them, but to outgrow them. We'll uncover ancient wisdom, and we'll walk you through the exact mindset that will make you unshakable in a world that secretly wants to see you fall. So sit back, lock in, and open your mind, because what you learn in the next few minutes could change the way you see people forever. And if you're someone who values strength, awareness, and growth, hit that like button. Share this video with a brother who needs it. Subscribe to join a community built on realness and wisdom. And comment below if you've ever had to outgrow a jealous friend, co-worker, or even a family member. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The shadow behind the smile. Understanding the root of jealousy. Jealousy is not loud. It doesn't always shout across the room or raise its fists. Often, it hides behind a smile. It sits in silence, watching. It listens for your good news, only to feel something sour in the stomach. It claps when you win, but deep inside, it's begging for you to fall. To understand jealous people, you must first understand where jealousy comes from. It's not just about what someone else has, it's about what someone else feels they should have had by now. Jealousy grows in the soil of unlived potential. It is the scream of a person who feels left behind by life, but doesn't have the courage to face it, so they aim that pain at you. When you rise, you remind them that they've stayed the same. When you evolve, you confront them with the mirror of their own stagnation. And the closer they are to you, friends, family, co-workers, the more threatening your growth becomes, because they believed that if they couldn't do it, you shouldn't be able to either. In ancient Greece, there was a word for this, phthonos. It wasn't just jealousy, it was a type of envy so dark and destructive that it was considered divine punishment. Aristotle wrote that phthonos leads people to grieve at the sight of another's good fortune, not because they wanted it for themselves, but because they wanted you not to have it. This is the core of jealousy. It isn't about wanting what you have, it's about wishing you didn't have it. So how do jealous people behave? They offer compliments dipped in poison. They downplay your wins. They shift conversations back to themselves. They celebrate you when you're struggling, but grow distant when you're thriving. They may even give you advice, but it's the kind that subtly sabotages you. These behaviors aren't random. They are coping mechanisms for an unhealed wound. When someone feels unseen, insecure, or inadequate, your success feels like a spotlight exposing their shadows. They may not even realize why they feel the way they do, but it will show in their actions. That's why it's important not to take it personally. Jealousy isn't a reflection of your arrogance, it's a reflection of their agony. But don't mistake understanding for tolerance. You cannot carry the guilt for someone else's laziness. You cannot shrink just to make others comfortable with your shine. You cannot apologize for doing the work they refuse to do. Think of a lion walking through a village. The dogs may bark, snarl, and chase, But the lion never turns around. Why? Because the lion knows what it is, and more importantly, it knows what they are not. You must move like that lion. Understand this truth. The stronger your light, the more shadows you'll cast. And some people will hate you, not because of what you've done to them, but because of what you represent. You represent the discipline they abandoned, the chances they didn't take, the focus they never built, and the life they were too afraid to chase. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. So don't become cold, don't become petty, don't engage in small battles. Stand tall, keep building, and let your results be the answer to their doubts, because no amount of envy can erase a man's consistency. No amount of hate can stop a man on a mission. But if you don't recognize jealousy early, it can poison your peace. It can come through close relationships, people who once supported you, now feeling like silent competitors. They may not say it, but they'll show it in the energy, in the silence, in the absence of celebration. Learn to spot it. Learn to detach. Learn to elevate beyond reach. Because some people don't need to be confronted, they just need to be outpaced. And when you rise high enough, you'll notice something strange. The cheers get quieter, but your soul gets louder and the path becomes clearer. That is the journey of a man who refuses to be dragged down by the bitterness of others. A man who rises not just to prove others wrong, but to prove himself right. Comment below. Jealousy hides in silence. Have you ever felt it before? Chapter 2. Silent Attacks. How Jealousy Reveals Itself in Disguise. Jealousy rarely walks in through the front door. It slips in quietly, dressed in false concern, polite smiles and silent stares. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers are what ruin friendships, ruin momentum, and ruin peace. You have to understand this. Jealousy doesn't always look like hate. It often looks like fake support. The coworker who says, "Wow, you got promoted? Must be nice to be lucky." The friend who jokes, "Man, you've changed," after you start leveling up. The relative who suddenly stops inviting you after you bought your first car or started your own business. These aren't random moments. They are red flags sewn into silence. What makes jealousy so dangerous is its ability to blend in. A jealous person can stand right beside you, take a photo with you, and applaud you on social media, while secretly hoping for your downfall. It's not always what they say, it's what they don't say, they used to call. Now they don't. They used to show up. Now they're too busy. They used to support. Now they go quiet when you succeed. That silence, that distance, that's not coincidence. That's jealousy in disguise. And sometimes it's not just silence, it's sabotage. They give you advice that pulls you off your path. They distract you when you're trying to focus. They plant little doubts in your mind disguised as looking out for you. Be careful who you share your dreams with, because not everyone clapping for you is clapping from a good place. Some are just waiting for you to fail, so they can feel better about never trying. In ancient Rome, there was a warning among warriors. Beware of the man who smiles too easily in battle, because often he's not smiling at the enemy. He's smiling at the thought of your shield breaking first. We live in a world that teaches us to avoid confrontation. But emotional intelligence isn't about confrontation, it's about clarity. You don't have to fight people to protect your peace. You just have to stop ignoring the signs. If someone always has something negative to say when you win, that's not feedback, that's jealousy. If someone constantly talks about themselves but never asks about your growth, that's not friendship, that's competition. If someone goes silent every time you shine, that's not coincidence, that's envy. And if you ignore these patterns long enough, you'll start to shrink yourself just to maintain the relationship. You'll lower your voice so they don't feel unheard. You'll downplay your success so they don't feel small. You'll dim your light so they don't feel insecure. But here's the hard truth. No amount of shrinking will ever make a jealous person feel secure, because it's not about you, it's about the war within them. So stop trying to keep people comfortable while your soul suffers. You were not made to be small. You were not made to apologize for excellence. You were not made to walk quietly just because someone else is afraid of their own steps. You must develop emotional X-ray vision You must learn to see beyond smiles, because the real damage jealousy causes isn't external, it's internal. It erodes trust. It makes you question the loyalty of those closest to you. And if you're not careful, it makes you doubt yourself. You start to wonder, am I doing too much? Maybe I should slow down? Am I being arrogant? You're just around people who aren't clapping from their hearts, and their silence is not your signal to stop. It's your signal to rise higher. In the words of Frederick Douglass, no man can put a chain about the ankle of his fellow man without at last finding the other end fastened about his own neck. Jealous people try to pull you down, but in doing so they tie themselves to failure. Let them go, detach without hate, distance yourself with grace, protect your mission like a fortress, because jealous energy is like fire. If you don't contain it, it will spread, and it doesn't care what it burns. When someone shows you they're uncomfortable with your success, don't argue, don't explain, don't beg for support. Just move forward, move stronger, move without them, because your path is not meant to be delayed by people who don't know how to clap for others. Your greatness will not be buried to preserve someone else's ego. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. Just walk with power and let their silence be the proof that your presence disturbs what they've refused to fix within themselves. Comment below. Ever felt someone silently rooting against you? Drop a "still rising" in the comments if you kept going anyway. Chapter 3, The Hidden Cost of Being Envied, Why You Must Protect Your Peace. There's a price for being envied, and most men never talk about it. Not because it isn't real, but because we've been trained to see success as something only to be celebrated, never protected. But here's the reality. The higher you climb, the more your air changes, and what no one tells you is this. The altitude of growth comes with loneliness. Not everyone can breathe where you're going. The biggest cost of being envied isn't the hate, it's the energy drain. The second guessing, the silent battles, the subtle sabotage, the emotional weight of wondering who's real and who's just riding your momentum. You start out wanting to win with people, but the deeper into your purpose you go, the more you realize not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people were cheering for the old version of you, the one who played small, laughed at every joke, and stayed available 24/7. But when you became more disciplined, when you started building boundaries, hitting the gym, leveling up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, their support got quiet. That's not a coincidence, that's discomfort. And that discomfort slowly turns into envy. Not always with words, sometimes just in energy. You feel it in the side eyes, the fake laughs, the "you think you're better than us now" jokes. At first, you try to explain yourself. You try to reassure them, "I'm still the same guy." But deep down, you know that's not true, because growth changes you, and it's supposed to. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. But the envious will never see that, because they're not looking through a lens of love. They're looking through a filter of insecurity, and that's where the hidden cost starts stacking up. You begin to question your own moves, you hesitate to share your wins, you carry guilt for outgrowing certain circles. And without realizing it, you start shrinking, not to survive, but to belong. But ask yourself this, is it really belonging if you have to break pieces of yourself just to fit? The truth is, jealousy from others becomes a burden you carry if you let it. It sits on your back like extra weight, slowing your progress, clouding your focus. And over time, that weight turns into burnout. Not from your purpose, but from the emotional labor of managing everyone else's reactions to it. This is why protecting your peace is non-negotiable. You don't need to announce your every move. You don't need to seek applause, and you don't need to convince anyone to understand your growth. Silence is your shield. Discipline is your defense. Peace is your power. Start building a life where your validation comes from within, where your self-worth isn't tied to who claps, but to how consistent you are when no one's watching. The man who protects his peace doesn't entertain chaos. He doesn't explain his boundaries. He doesn't chase approval. He understands that envy is often a sign he's on the right track, not because he wants enemies, but because he refuses to stay average. And here's a deeper truth. Some people need you to fail, not because they hate you, but because your success disrupts their excuses. They said it couldn't be done. You did it. Now their lies don't work anymore. So instead of rising up, they try to pull you down. Protect your mind. Protect your focus. Protect your circle. The wrong people in your life can delay your destiny more than any external obstacle. You don't need loud drama, you just need subtle drainers, silent haters, passive-aggressive energy, and boom, you're stuck. That's why peace is not a luxury, it's a discipline. Create space, move in silence, cut access without cruelty. In the words of Epictetus, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, because some people will always misunderstand your evolution. And that's okay. You are not here to be understood by the weak. You are here to be respected by the worthy. You are not here to lower yourself to be accepted. You are here to build something too solid to be shaken by small minds. And sometimes the most powerful move you can make is simply to keep building. No arguments, no responses, no revenge, just silence and results. Comment below. Has envy ever cost you your peace? Comment, focused and unbothered, if you're done explaining your growth. Chapter 4. Transcending jealousy, rise above and let them watch you. Build jealousy is a test, not of how you react, but of how well you can rise without looking back. The final form of power is not confrontation, it's elevation. Because when you understand jealousy deeply, you no longer fear it. You don't need to fight it, you outgrow it. There comes a point in every man's journey where he must stop asking, why don't they support me, and start saying, they were never meant to come with me. Let that settle in. Not everyone in your life was assigned to your future. Some were only there for your past, to teach you, to sharpen you, or to awaken you. And once that lesson is learned, clinging to old connections becomes a prison. Jealousy thrives in that prison. It festers in circles that value comfort over growth. And when you keep trying to carry jealous people forward, you'll notice something strange. Your life starts to slow down because your focus gets divided, your energy gets diluted, and your mission gets delayed. This is not about being cold or cruel. It's about being clear. You must transcend the pull of needing everyone to like you. Some people will never admit you're great because in doing so, they would have to admit they gave up. Let them stay behind. As you rise, do it with such calm intensity that they can't help but feel your presence, not through your words, but through your consistency. Let them talk, let them judge, let them whisper. You, let your results respond for you, because the most dangerous man is the one who no longer seeks to prove anything. He's not moved by gossip. He's not distracted by praise. He's not addicted to applause. He is rooted. And when a man is rooted, jealousy cannot touch him. You must understand, the people who envy you are often not bad people. They're broken. They've internalized the lie that someone else's win is their loss, that your success is their failure. But you can't fix that. That's their journey. Your job is not to rescue them. Your job is to lead by example, show what it looks like to win with honor, to rise with discipline, to achieve without compromise, to build a legacy so strong that even your enemies respect it. Because when your life becomes a blueprint for others, your silence becomes louder than their noise. And if they're watching you, let them watch you build, brick by brick, step by step, with no shortcuts, with no excuses. You're not in competition. You're in creation. You're not trying to shine brighter than anyone. You're simply refusing to dim for anyone. Let your actions be sacred. Let your focus be legendary. Let your growth be the thing that speaks, even when you don't. In the words of Nelson Mandela, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Let them drink. You keep watering your vision, because one day, the same people who whispered behind your back will speak your name in rooms you've never entered, not out of admiration, but out of acknowledgement. And that's how you transcend jealousy. Not by responding, but by becoming undeniable. Comment below. Still building even when they're watching. Comment unstoppable if you've chosen elevation over envy.